Right then, so I mean T1 versus GenG. I keep messing up calling them SKT because it's just stuck in my head. Now we've seen some of T1 and they look really fucking scary. But GenG are also good. Now they actually got Lee Sin, first pick for Clid. Now Clid is known to be a Lee Sin player, and Lee Sin's very strong. They first pick Renekton again. I hate this. Like they're kind of doing it so that they don't really give away draft resources, so that they can kind of outplay the kind of enemy coach in these three slots. But the problem is you can't just pick something like Renekton and expect it to just work every time. It just doesn't. So I'd love to see even something like an Ornn here. I feel like if you just replace Renekton with Ornn, perfect. Like perfect. I mean, then you can't really play her on top as much, but you like this team T1 especially just play mid jungle duo, which is super effective. So you just pick Ornn there instead of Renekton, and you're in a much better position. And Ornn's pretty good in my opinion. Like he's one of the better tanks, especially for his late game potential. It's like you're not rushed to do anything. Whereas Renekton, by picking that, you already kind of commit to having a champion that's gonna all in, and on top of that as well, you also kind of I don't know. You just it just makes it so it's like you're on a timer, before like you have to get something done. Now Aphelios Thresh here, which is something that I was actually saying. I've been saying for quite a while doing these reviews is that I feel like the respect for Aphelios Thresh has been so low by teams. Here you probably just go Braum just to kind of offset the Thresh, just because Leona gets countered. Oh, Leona's banned anyway. So, I mean, they could just take Braum here and then just accept the Aphelios Braum lane. They're going to take Nidalee, which, I mean, is pretty good, especially because there's a Renekton. So now T1 have already kind of give away, though, that they want to play for top side. So right now, GenG need to ban the Braum away. Probably just pinch supports that could give Thresh a hard time. So Braum ban 100%. And then I mean, they could maybe even target something like Azir here. So I think Azir, Braum are probably the best two bans here, just so that Faker doesn't get on his Azir. And also so that they don't get Braum for that kind of massive amount of shutdown. So they did ban it. This is why I think taking Braum in R3 would have been better, especially considering support was already revealed. Now jungle is revealed, sure, like of course, but I think you could have just taken Nidalee as a R4 option, and it would have been better. Ornn ban again. I mean, it got banned. This is the thing. Like Ornn beats Renekton, so just because he can survive, you know. Especially if you go Warmogs early and you can literally just stay in lane permanent. So they have to ban a Azir away here, otherwise Faker gets a Azir, and that's so deadly with the Nidalee, because Azir will always get prio into pretty much every single lane. It's just hard push and move. They ban the Trundle. Again, they're pinching support as much as possible. I do think they just take Azir here, to be honest. And then they can save support until last pick, especially considering, you know, you can pick a support that can round off the entire game. So Rel, I actually think Rel is amazing. And I think we did watch the start of this one before, actually, and we did predict that they were going to take Rel there because the Braum and the Trundle are banned, and Rel's kind of the next best option, especially into Thresh. I think Rel is amazing, and she's super underrated. I love taking Rel. Shame they've got this Renekton though top. Even if they had something like a cannon, they're going to take away the Azir now. This is why I said that they need to take Azir here, because now it gets taken away, and now all of a sudden the Lee Sin gets prio with the push. So this Lee Sin is going to be allowed to do whatever he wants. Now it could still be top lane Lee Sin, and then they could just pick maybe even like big AD. No, okay, so they actually get the cannon. So now this is deadly. GenG's draft is so strong here. Like they're gonna win early with Azir pushing mid, which is then gonna translate to Azir getting carried through mid until he becomes like this massive late game threat. Faker's literally like, what the fuck is going on? Like he's so confused about these picks. So now they're probably just going to respond. I mean, TF ban. I mean, Aurelia is good. But, oh, okay, we get to see Fake as Aurelia. This is going to be sick. This is going to be insane. I don't think I've ever seen Faker play Aurelia. Unless... Wait, no, oh, okay. I was gonna say, unless the Aurelia goes into bot lane. Yeah, imagine. Nah, no way. I actually thought maybe Faker would take Varus mid and they try and do something bot lane, because I think Aurelia Rel is actually really good, because as soon as Rel gets E, she puts E on Aurelia, she jumps to a minion, jumps on top of them, you get the Rel stun into the guaranteed Aurelia stun. So I actually think it's... I could see that it had potential, but you know, this is game one. I guess I didn't want to get too spicy with it. I would like to skip to the end, see how many games there is, but then that'll spoil the result to me, so... I don't want to do that. Now, in terms of draft, I actually prefer GenG's draft quite a lot here. I think their draft is much easier to execute. It's got so much space for Aphelios. It's got Thresh so that the Lee Sin can just play around mid or top for the entire game. So I actually think that... man, this arena is so nice, though. I want to go there so bad. One day, I will be in Korea and go to the stadium. So, let's see what they do. Any cheesy level 1s, or... I don't think there will be, but... Okay, so nothing crazy, level 1. They're just getting points. Even though GenG didn't protect mid, but... Okay. So, in terms of runes, what have we got here? So, Kennen, again, I hate Scorch. I really hate Scorch. Hey, catching a bit, G. Good luck with your blood donation. So, I hate Scorch on, like, just in general. I just really don't think it's good. I understand that Kennen wants more aggression in lane, so Scorch is great, but I just prefer Gathering Storm in every single situation. Lee Sin, Tenacity. Okay, that Tenacity's fair. They've got Rel E, Varus and Aurelia E and Renekton W. This was pre-Renekton getting nerfed as well, so that's good there. We have Azir, Lethal Tempo. He's going full push power. I mean, they have got to really get into it though, so if... I mean, I want to say if Faker can pull it off, but when Faker pulls it off, really can actually be a good matchup into Azir, because you don't really need to worry as much about the enemy having a bigger wave, because as Aurelia, especially when you get your Vampiric Scepter, you will heal for so much off the enemy having a bigger wave. That what you do is you layer it down, you get 5 stacks instantly, and then you jump on top of them and kill them, so you always have that kind of ability to just completely shut them down, so... I think it's a really good pick here. So again, exactly like normal bot lane. Rel went with bone plating. I don't really like bone plating that much. I mean, it can be good, but so Rascal doesn't actually know that Renekton is in the brush right now, but he should, because bot lane didn't actually show up to lane. They didn't pull, so. But okay, instant aggression. So Kerry is just doing that so that he can get unmounted, and now as soon as he gets mount back and the wave is in a kind of better position, she can just run him down. Oh, she's just gonna instantly remount. The thing is, Thresh is quite an annoying matchup to play Rel into. But if you end up jumping on him and forcing his flay, and Varus can respond with some damage, especially when he gets lethality, then it's actually okay, and you can actually do a massive amount there. So we can see that the Lee Sin is full clearing into bot. Obviously Nidalee is a faster clear than Lee Sin. She's actually very, very quick at clearing the jungle. She's one of them sub 315 junglers. So we're going to see her get every single camp here, and then potentially just look for top. We can't really see the lane state right now in top lane. We can see that it's more pushed towards Kennen. So I think the Renekton might be trying to kind of potentially fight him now to get it to maybe slow push back into him, but Aurelia is also one of them champs that's super easy to farm on the tower. So see, Faker's just keeping his 5 stacks and he's keeping these minions layered right now so that he can potentially jump on top. Ooh, that was a close E. Now, obviously, those kind of E's are quite hard to land, and you can see why Faker found it a little bit difficult there. But as you can see here, this potential top dive is maybe coming through. We have the Renekton, we have the Nidalee. Okay, now max range Nidalee Spear. And there we go. So this is... And then heal. Yep, nice. Oh, minions won't get her. She's got red buff. That's completely fine. So this is, like we previously said, like T1 are looking to play this 2v2 in top lane, which you kind of have to do when the enemy picks Kennen, because Kennen's going to have a great time into any kind of melee. So if you don't pick up... if you don't put pressure on that top lane, especially when you've got a Renekton who, you know, is pretty safe, then you can do a lot. And that point and click CC on him is really, really good, because you point and click CC into a max range Nidalee Spear. So they actually timed it very, very well. Obviously Nidalee did have to flash, but that doesn't matter. First blood is definitely worth a flash. Nidalee is now bot lane instantly. But nothing really came out of it. Rel got chunked out way too much, so they couldn't really commit to it. But, you know, good control for them to kind of walk back. So one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly... Okay. Right, so what's gonna happen now? So GenG top didn't respect so they didn't really pay any attention here to where the Nidalee was pathing, which is really bad. This shows that top is potentially abusable, purely based on that information alone, which, you know, is quite an interesting thing to take from this so far. Like, that top gank, and is he gonna die again to another top gank here? There's no way, right? But if... Oh, what happened? Like, what? Why is Nidalee rushing there? I guess she threw a spear so that she could reset and go into bot side instantly because Dragon is available. But it was still kind of wasteful. There was no real reason for it. Now Renekton might potentially get ganked. Now, oh, Faker actually going very aggressive on BDD. He has 6, but he doesn't have enough mana to all in here. This is a little bit grief, but does it pay off? I mean, does he get out? Okay, so he gets out. Obviously, this was a bit grief. They knew where the Lee Sin was because Blastcone just got popped. And yeah, it's just really, really risky. Like, there was no reason to try and go for that kill with no mana. Like, it was just a bit greedy. Now, he has actually rushed Merc Creds. Now, I think this is a really bad buy. Because what's he reducing? Like, what tenacity is he reducing in mid lane? He's not. Like, Azir's ult is a displacement. So, he's not going to reduce that. Obviously, Azir does have slows, but that's not worth rushing Mercs, and Lee Sin's a knock-up too, so I think this is really bad from Faker, actually. Like, Vampiric is such a big spike on Aurelia that the fact that he didn't just get it instantly doesn't seem too well. Obviously, he can use his movement speed now to chase him down a bit more, and this wave is huge. What he should be looking to do right now is potentially just get all his stacks off the wave here and then just jump in, but he's going to play it a bit safe. So, Faker is going to hard push this wave now. And now he's going to get a run timer. Where's he going to go to? Are they going to potentially 3-man dive the Kennen top? That's the question. So, walking with jungler, I mean, there's a blue buff available right there that he could potentially take. Lee Sin is nowhere near yet, so this should be pretty free for Warner to take right now. Especially considering he's got Faker as backup. And there we go. So he pulls it out. He does start juggling his patience a little bit, but he had smite and he was willing to use it on it, so it's completely fine. Again, that one of the main things why you don't see these objectives taken so early anymore is because of the smite changes, meaning that your smite early only does 450. I mean, it used to start at what, 390 before, but it used to scale with levels. So at level 7, there'd be quite a beefy smite. I think it'd be about 600 and I want to say around 630 previously. But before you get those smite upgrades now, the first 5 smites that you use are only 450, so you can't really contest dragons early because it's always going to be a 50-50, and you don't really have that big of a smite either, so it can be risky. We do see GenG walking up to try and contest Herald right here, but this is going to be a huge fight, and in this kind of entranceway in this jungle here, Faker's going to go nuts if he gets his ult off. Okay, there we go. So ooh, Kennen did get a big ult actually, but I don't think it really matters too much. Maybe they return kills. Ooh, they don't actually. T1 don't really get anything out of it. Nidalee going to swap and heal. Never mind, she didn't actually manage to get a heal off. She prioritized her spear. So, okay, so the Kennen does die. So one of the problems there is obviously both of these teams want to fight inside those kind of clutch areas and kind of tight and close spaces, especially because Faker's ult. But they didn't really force them into that area before they engaged. They kind of let them spread out too much, and Faker couldn't really get on them as easy. Now Kennen does have his ultimate, which again is also great in those tight situations, and his pen is quite high, but I think if Faker would have had Vampiric there, this could have been completely different. So here we can see they walk up and they don't have vision, but the Rel gets a pretty good ult, but then Kennen just ults back and stuns everybody, so Faker can't actually jump on anybody. So I mean, it just goes to show that even with the tenacity from them Merc Treads, Kennen just completely shut Faker out of that fight, and he just really couldn't do anything. So, very good from Kennen, and this is what I mean. There's no way you should allow Kennen to go over that easy. Even if you take Kennen as kind of like that sacrificial top lane pick, it's completely fine, because he's still going to do more than a Renekton later on into the game anyway, because his ult is so impactful. All you have to do is make sure that your vision control is good so that you get, like, easy ways to flank, and then if you can do that, then you're in a good spot with Kennen. So what are we looking for here? Okay, some nice movement by Canna. Overall, doesn't really equate to anything. That's what I mean. That's Scorch. Like, does it really do that much? I really don't think so. I think going Gathering Storm and just, you know, getting that big 30/40 minute boost is really important. Now, obviously, if the game goes to 40 minutes, then it's very, very risky for either team. But if, say, for example, both teams are full build, Gathering Storm still provides you with more and more damage. So, if, for example, the game stalemates and then everybody ends up with if the game stalemates, it really doesn't matter too much, because you get like this huge amount of extra damage later on into the game. I think it's 40 minutes, you get 2,500 gold completely free. Now Faker does get caught here, but he's actually going to turn it. Okay, never mind, he really can't turn this. There is 4 people in his lane right now. This was really greedy by Faker. Now this is the thing, when you play a champion that you don't really understand it, even at a professional level, it's very, very risky. So T1 comments, don't let Faker Aurelia. So Faker's Aurelia is really lacking here, to be honest. Which is a little bit of a shame to see, but GenG on the other hand, playing this very, very well. So Canna is safe, he's okay. So looking at this game now, this early game has gone pretty clean for the side of GenG, although T1 do still have equal gold, to be honest. So this started good, but the wall just means that Faker can't really run elsewhere, and Clid does actually ward hop to behind the wall just so that Faker can't get on him and heal anything. Now again, I think that okay, so Faker is rushing Sunrush right away, I guess. Which, you know, is okay, but I really think on Aurelia that Borg first item is just so important. Like, the amount of healing you get out of it, and the fact that it allows you to chase people down easily. So when you use that that kind of slow from it, it means that the E is very, very easy to land after. So I really don't like the build that Faker's going with. I also don't like how Nidalee is the only AP on the team and she's got Night Harvester. Now, we've said this multiple times, but Night Harvester gives haste, which is great because the more spears you get thrown, the more potential damage you do, right? But the problem is, Nidalee spears are very, very difficult to land. So if you land one, I mean, you have to rely on setup. Now, Faker could potentially die here again, so Faker really just not comfortable on this champion, it seems like. He's actually inting a little bit. Maybe he's a little bit stressed or under a bit of pressure, but he's really griefing a bit here, which isn't like Faker. So yeah, so like I was saying, it doesn't really matter if you miss like 9 spears. If you hit one, that's going to change the team fight, right? So it's kind of like you don't really want that haste to get the spears quicker. You want to make it so that when you land that spear, it does more, because then you have more ability to jump in and do damage. Now, right here on this side of GenG right now, there's no MR, and they're not going to build any MR for a little bit yet. So what they should have been looking to do is just go for Ludens instead and just have more penetration and just go for full magic pen build. Ludens, sword shoes, just especially when you get sword shoes and especially when you get sword shoes and alternator. That's such a huge power spike that you can completely take over the game. Now, the kind of good thing for T1 is they're down a lot of kills right now, but they're only down about 1.3k, 1.4k gold. So that is quite significant, especially at 15 minutes. But we will still get the opportunity to see T1 potentially come back, even though, you know, Nidalee is a slightly early game jungler, and Lee Sin has kind of pulled ahead. Now, she's up on CS, but that doesn't make up for the amount of kills and assists that Lee Sin has, so that's potentially rough. Aphelios has now finished his tier 2 boots. Varus got his mana moon instantly, so that's going to allow him to get to more mana a little bit faster, and he's got his Dirk as well, so that's kind of like a huge power spike on Teddy. Now, they did kind of look to run him down a little bit, but I think they were trying to start Herald, but they can't just flip Herald here. We see an instant TP come out from the Azir. He's running behind. He's going to actually catch Teddy here. So we're going to get a shuffle. Nice. So oh my god, that was so clean. So he even predicted the fact that Varus was going to flash there, and that's a really, really good kick from the Lee Sin as well. T1 completely getting shown up here. So now Kennan's going to run down Warner as well, and instantly dead. Now, honestly, the way the GenG are playing this game, I really don't think T1 are going to get the chance to come back. I think the kind of mental advantage they're getting alone, and the fact that they're going to get Herald into Dragon instantly here, is really, really big. Now, this is the problem. T1 had the ability to take Azir away, but they didn't go with it. So see, even Varus flashing, Azir already compensated for that potential flash with his shifting sands. So really, really good ult from the Lee Sin there as well, which actually manages to secure the kill on the Nidalee, a gold drinker that keeps him alive too, which is very, very good to see. So we now see, obviously, kind of gets chased down. We get to see the first person view, so pro view of this is going to be really, really interesting, because as we can see, and there we go, tournament realm on the side. So he's going to shift over, flash to predict the Varus flash, and then ult. Extremely good. That was such a clean play. BDD is definitely someone to be scared of. I think this guy is incredibly talented and has been for a long while, to be honest. And this is basically the 2v2 Clid BDD against Warner Faker. So, you know, I hope it's Warner. I hope it's Warner. I'm not just saying it wrong this entire time. But now we can see this lead from GenG is slowly getting pushed on. The good thing for T1 is that the Nidalee is actually keeping them in terms of gold quite a bit, and they're going to try and death brush. BDD is conscious, so there was a ward in that brush that they walked over, so BDD actually knew, and it's like T1 are just, you know, they're kind of getting a bit desperate now. Okay, so a hook on Nid. Oh, and then Thresh uses the blast cone to secure the kill on Nidalee as well. That's okay. Warner is playing terribly. So yeah, like GenG really showing up here. Okay. Okay, so at this point, BDD, they're just going to secure this tier 1 side lane. They just want to get all of the towers off the map now. Then as soon as those towers are off the map, then it's very hard for the side of T1 to actually farm anything. So that's what we're looking for. Again, I think GenG finished higher in the split than T1, so that's why T1 had to play a previous game before. But this was just so smart by the... I'm not sure if it was Thresh or BDD that actually did that. Who was it that popped the cone? Oh, it was Thresh. Yeah, it was Thresh, I think. So, really, really nice player on those cones for the side of T1 there. So... So, at this point, Azir is ridiculously fed. He's on his 2 items now. Unfortunately, again, I mean, look at this double orb, though. Why do you need double orb? The Azir is a carry here. Kennen just needs it, and that's completely fine. Like, I like, Kennen can proc it on everybody at once, so... So again, double Oblivion Orb is just very, very painful to see. Like, you only need one person to proc it. It's really not that big. Let me just open. Okay. So in terms of T1 right now, what do they need to win? I mean, if they can get a really, really big team fight off when Kennen doesn't have his ultimate, I think that's probably one of the only ways they win this game now. I think if Kennen has his ultimate available and BDD gets a nice shuffle off that ultimate, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to actually do anything. So that is definitely a concern right now for the side of T1. It's like they're at this point in the game, T1 are literally just looking for GenG to make a mistake. Now, even if they do, Aphelios is going to be ridiculously strong later in the game, and we do see a TP coming in from the Aurelia. We can pretend, so this could actually be a really, really good play for them. Faker misses his E again. Like, I feel like he struggled to hit this permanently. They do manage to kill the Thresh, but they've just used their teleports for bot lane. This is a nightmare for T1. Like, they're playing awfully. And they're just trying to come back over and over. Now, this does not seem like the team that played the other day that we're watching in round 1. Like, it feels like GenG are definitely just a stronger team, and that's kind of scary considering we were saying how insane SKT are looking. But, you know, when the mid lane pool gets pinched this hard, so yeah, so when Faker isn't in a position to carry, then things get really rough like this. So I'm just somewhat filling out the form just because I think this game's pretty much over. To be honest, it's way too difficult for SKT to come back, especially, oh sorry, T1, especially considering they have a comp that really revolves around getting ahead. Like, they get outscaled significantly, and they didn't really manage to get anything on this Aurelia either. So Life actually plays that really well. We see this TP coming in from Faker, but again, he just misses E entirely, and now he can't commit or use his ultimate or anything, and he actually gets like nothing off that for his TP. So really, really bad. We do see Keria go in, but the shuffle just get him back, and now Keria is completely isolated, but Nidalee does manage to get a kill over there before she dies, so that's potentially good. I think that was a shutdown as well, maybe? That was a shutdown on BDD, so really big amount of gold shifted over to Nidalee now. She does finish her second item, but again, she's not going with this penetration, so it's a lot worse. Now, if she had Ludens here, or even if she went Rocket Belt purely for the pen, she would be in a much better situation than what she is now, and she'd actually be able to output significant more damage. Faker's still not opting to go into Bork. Now, I don't know if I'm slightly off with Aurelia, but I feel like Bork is such a good item on her. Obviously, Divine Sundra and Sterax is great, don't get me wrong, but so a nice stopwatch from BDD, but Nidalee does actually manage to kill him with the red smite, I'm fairly certain. So very, very big pickup from Nidalee there. Now we see, you know, like they can't really do much else from there, so it's very, very difficult for them to actually do anything. Like the only way they come back in this, like I said, is if they manage to get a fighter on Kennan's ult being down. Now they did manage to force the BDD's Zhonya's, but that will be up fairly soon. So yeah, it's going to be up soon now. So, you know, they've missed kind of like a big opportunity to punish, but they can't really punish at all anyway. They're kind of playing for the fact that this is going to be probably a long game, but I feel like as as T1 here, you can't really afford. Now, see that spear on Life, it was basically a max range spear, and it only did, let's say, 40% of his HP, which seems a lot, but that could be up to even 60% if he would have had the correct build. So this is something very common. Now look at that, he nearly halves BDD and he's got haste, so it's very, very sad to see. Like, the thing is, Soul Boots alone aren't enough haste to break the base MR that champions provide, because again, it's between 22 to 23 MR per champion on average, so, and that's kind of the higher end of average if you take talent out, is at like 39. So it's very very difficult for T1 to do enough damage. Now Varus is on 2 item spike now, and he is going into a Duskblade, I'm fairly certain. I would like to see him get Prowler's Claw, but it just never happens. Ooh, pardon me. This game's putting me to sleep. It's just GenG slowly beating them. Like, T1 are looking for picks, I guess, but oh my god, Keria failed his flash. He's very, very tilted. You can see the tilt on him. Clayed walking up to just see if he can spot anyone, but doesn't really look like he can. Nidalee spear comes through again, it doesn't really matter, because they do barely any damage. Not to the Lee Sin anyway. Okay, so I mean, to be fair, T1 are doing okay to hold on in there. The problem is the fact that their draft is the way it is, and it's a weak draft, to be honest. For T1, I feel like it's very weak, and it kind of stems from this Renekton, because it's like, what is Renekton doing in this game? Like, next to nothing. That's what GenG are going to get this dragon. Again, it's a Cloud Soul, so T1 don't have to worry about it too much, but again, more stats onto, I mean, again, lower cooldown of Shuffle is, you know, it's not too bad, like, we'll take it. So, we now see them, they're just going to look to push down mid now. I mean, the Baron is almost available for the side of GenG, and the fact that Azir does magic damage and Baron has lower MR than armor means that he will actually shred this Baron super quick, especially with Aphelios. Especially if Aphelios gets white sometime soon, which I don't think he will. I think from Dark Blue you go to Sniper and the Calibrum. But Dark Blue is a very, very powerful ability on Aphelios, just because it does so much overall damage, especially if you're this kind of ahead. Now he's on 3 items right now, so what they should be looking to do is just force the Baron and then look to end the game from there. T1 can't really contest the Baron into them, because if they walk in, they're just going to get Azir shuffled away into you know, or a Kennen ult, so they can never really start the objective, and they can never really stop it as well. We do see the cleanse come out of Varus there, but Kennen's damage is huge. So he's extremely strong right now, and it's purely because, as we previously mentioned, he has Magic Pen. So Kennen's build is pretty good actually, because of the amount of Magic Pen that he actually gets out of it. Now they are just looking to rush this, and look at how fast they just damage it right now. It's just the DPS from Azir and Aphelios is just way too big. So the Azir jumps in, and he's just going to completely melt the Nidalee. So he does use his shuffle just on Nidalee though, which is potentially a big mistake though, since, you know, T1 can run them down a little bit, but actually Aphelios is just too strong right now. So BD actually survives all of that through some good use of Zhonya's. So they're just too strong. So BDD actually used a Zhonya's and a stopwatch in that fight, since he previously had enough gold to just straight up buy Zhonya's, so he didn't really need to use a stopwatch. So that gives him 5 seconds of invulnerability from those stopwatches. So again, it's very hard to actually kill him. He did die that one time, but overall this is a very dominant game from GenG, and I just want to see if T1 at least try and do something to punish them. I don't think they will though. So again, Faker does get a nice ult, but we get a double Zhonya's out and then Kennen ults, which does CC Faker up, meaning that he does die before, like even through his Sterak's, and then BDD again just instantly uses Zhonya's, and then actually uses his flash so the Varus can't kill him with just one arrow. Because if you come out with Zhonya's against a lot of champions like Varus or Caitlyn, a lot of kind of these ADCs that have utility, and Ashe for example, if you come out with Zhonya's, you're just going to instantly die again, because then they can just stack their CC on you, and they have the perfect timing to get you. So sometimes using that, oh wait, it wasn't flash, sorry, it was he instantly E'd to his soldier. It just looked like flash because he did it so quick. So right now they're just looking to push top. They do manage to get this Azir turret down. Now Azir is a champion that is ridiculously powerful in the right hands, so I feel like T1 just completely into their draft here by taking the Rel R4 instead of going for the Azir there and then taking the Rel in last pick, for example. I also think some of the enchanters would have actually been fairly decent. Like Varus Nami is good. Varus Lulu is kind of good too, especially I couldn't go in this game because he's lethality, but I think there's a lot of things that can actually make Varus pretty damn good. Unfortunately Leona was banned, but they could have also taken Alistar here as well. Alistar Varus is, you lose a lot of level 1, but as soon as the Alistar gets level 2, he has the ability to do a massive amount. And then also, you know, the Varus can actually stay in bot lane, and you know, he can just farm safely. Obviously it's not as easy as say Ezreal with Q, but it's very, very easy. Now Keria actually knows that they need to at least try and do something, but they just don't have enough of anything. So it's really sad to see T1 in their draft this hard, to be honest, because now we see Kennen also double stopwatch, just abuse. So I mean, that was game 1. I mean, it was way too one-sided to GenG. Like I'm curious to see how T1 actually bring this back though. So let's go on to game 2 now and see if T1 can bring things back a little bit. We're gonna end this for YouTube now.